Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Austin Imoru, and I believe that you can do much more. Let's look at the few things I have researched, a few things I've discovered about past pandemics. I call it the wisdom of the past, inquest into pandemics. Now, you're going to learn a lot from this. You're going to learn a lot from this. You're going to learn how to handle the situation right now, how many people in the past handle from the Spanish flu down to cholera, then to Black Death, and even to the smallpox. You're going to learn so much, and not just about how they handled it, but how to maximize opportunity that are already at our door. After the pandemics, there is life, and in that life, there are lots and lots of opportunity. Watch this with me, and if you are yet to subscribe, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much. And hey, make sure you click the notification button so that you can be reminded whenever I put on content like this. Thank you.
We're going to do this thing very quickly. I went through researches. I read materials about Africa, about history, and I want us to just look at the agenda very quickly. History of reoccurrence, the Great Pandemics, opportunities after pandemics, the age of infodemic, and how you can personalize this. Now, we are going to look at this thing very quickly. A guy called Frederick believed in the law of eternal return. He believed things that occur in life, they occur in similar form. Now, Galileo also agreed when he talked about the law of pendulum, the law of the pendulum, that things are constant, that happen. Now, the great wise King Solomon also agreed in the Bible when he said, what has been will be again, what has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. That is Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9, the NIV version. Now, this is exactly how the great people in the past make decisions. They base their decision on what has happened before while trying to look into the future. Now, I believe this is how Bill Gates arrived at the fact that there is going to be a great pandemic very soon, and he was preparing for it. American military are also doing the same. They also look at history, then use history to forecast what is going to happen in the future and get to prepare for it. Now, let's look at the great pandemic that has happened in the world. There are a few pandemics that shook the world. We have the smallpox, we have Black Death, we have cholera, we have Spanish flu. Now, the smallpox 1633 happened in Europe. Now, New England was most affected, but New England was saved by a man called Juan Simos. It was a black slave they brought in from Africa. Now, Juan Simos was able to develop an inoculation with his master then, because they've experienced that before in Africa. So now, after smallpox, there come the Black Death, which happened in 1720. It was called the Great Plague of Marseille. People died in hundreds. Now, there was something similar that happened in every pandemic. There's always a prediction that the world is about to end. Now, people died during the Black Death. It was a terrifying thing that a larger percent, that's 30 to 60% of people in Europe, human in Europe, died. Over 50 million people died at that time. Now, another thing that we can say that is similar between the pandemics is that the black flu was 1720, whereas the smallpox was 1633. It seems about 100 years gap from each other. Now, when the cholera came, the cholera pandemic, it was also about 100 years after, about 100 years, not exactly 100 years. Now, that was 1817. Now, cholera existed for too long because there were all kind of first wave, second wave of pandemic, third wave, fourth wave of pandemic. Now, also, people were scared that the world was going to end. You can see this journal. There was an angel of death with a sickle harvesting people to whatever. Now, after that, we have the Spanish flu. The Spanish flu, which was 1918. This was the recent one before the coronavirus, or what we call COVID-19. This one started in 1918. Now, this was similar to what we have now. Whatever we're doing now was done then. Face masks were used, people were quarantined, and isolation was done. There was protest and all that. It was a terrifying thing. People also thought that the world was going to end. Now let's look at Nigerian realities. What happened in Nigeria at the time? 500,000 Nigerians out of a population of just 18 million died then. Now 80% of the population were affected by the Spanish flu, and it arrived in Lagos on the 14th of September 1918. That's when the first case was confirmed by Dr. Gray. Now a ship brought it into Nigeria. Now there was panic because the colonial master at the time shut churches, mosques, markets, and they were going from house to house to force people to actually test them whether they have the virus. Now this caused quite a scare in Lagos because it started in Lagos, and people started moving back home using train. People were running, and as they were running, they were spreading the virus, and the virus went around virtually every city in Nigeria at the time. This was before other ships started coming to Nigeria having people that also have the illnesses. So it took from between 1918 to about 1920, the virus was ravaging in Nigeria. Now let's look at opportunities after pandemics. Now I will like us to look at what I call the YAM versus CASSAVA. Now cassava was introduced by the Portuguese, whereas yam was already available in Africa. Now when cassava was introduced, cassava was not embraced in Nigeria as much as the yam they already knew. It was embraced in Gold Coast, that is Ghana and other other places, but not in Nigeria. But after the pandemic, there was a switch. It was now cassava over yam. Now, a lot of people now are now eating cassava. Just imagine the opportunity that was created for cassava to grow. Those who were farming cassava, the kind of opportunity that they had. Now, what is going to be the new opportunity after this COVID-19 pandemic? Now, the old and the new world. One thing I'm going to tell you is that the world will not remain the same after COVID-19. So the world as you know it will now be the old world, and the new world will emerge. I'll prepare you for the new world. Now, what about the digital rush? Now, businesses are already going up online right now, and more will follow. Are you prepared? Are you able to do anything about this? What kind of service can you render to help businesses, school, hospital, churches to go online? Or even you in particular, are you ready to go online? Now, let's look at age of infodemic. Now, I believe infodemic is about chaotic information. We have so much information, we don't even know what is true, what is false, what is disastrous, what is poisonous, what is toxic, and what is educative. We don't know this anymore. Now, in the midst of this, people will also have opportunity to actually make huge income. Now, I want to point your attention to what I call the four constants. I'm talking about food, shelter, health, and energy. These are the four constants. They will always be there. If you can only filter the information in this area, you will be the richest man in the new world that is about to show up. Now, in case you are among those that are afraid of energy, we are not running away from energy. We're actually going towards energy. So think about the 5G and the fear of it. Many people will be so afraid of the 5G that they will not benefit from it and they will not make money from it. I hope you will not be that type. Now, how can you actually maximize all I've told you and personalize it? It is in a theory I call prestige. Now, what is prestige? Prestige is when you add value to a thing. You know, value can start from your perspective and then become a reality. No, you add value to a country, just like India is doing right now with the advert they call the Incredible India. Everybody will want to visit that country. You add value to a material, people want to have it. You add value to a product, a real estate, people want to have it. So how are you going to add prestige to what you know so that people will pay you for what you know? Now, the best and most productive nation, like we think it is America. That is because they know how to add prestige to their nation. What are you going to add prestige to? I want you to go away with this information and begin to tell me, comment on the comment section what you are going to add, what you are going to add prestige to. What do you have? What are you presenting during the pandemic and after the pandemic? My name is Austin Imoru, and I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you.